Alright, so got called out here on this 2004 BMW 5 Series. I think it's 5 Series. Yeah, it's an E60. So 525i. And had a parasitic draw on this car. But it was an interesting one. And I just want to share it with you guys because it took a little bit of reading and a little bit of information. And I want to show you guys something here. Let me see if I can... If I remember where the heck I put the key, we can do it. Let's see. There's the key. Alright. So, got the auto logic out on this one, and I'm going to turn the key on and then off for a second. And now I want to put the key in my hand. What I want you guys to see is in the CAS module, which CAS module, it'll be communicating, and what we'll have in here, if we go into diagnostic requests, you'll have something in here called the terminals. And the terminals are your voltages that you have coming in there. Now, I'll show you guys what I had. See these two right here? These are the terminal wake-up cans. I'm going to try to keep it in a position here where you can see it, so it'll be a little bit off center here so that way we don't have the glare. But on these two terminal 15s, these wake-ups, these are inputs into the CAS module to turn on those terminal 30s. Now, terminal 30s will stay on for a little while longer, and I did all this reading, by the way, in here under description of energy diagnosis. Lots of information in there. If you're not sure about it, I mean, do what I did. I even had to refresh myself here on this because I really wasn't 100% sure. So I had to do a lot of reading in here about what the energy diagnosis is. But what they did is when those terminal 15s would stay active, which we did because we have a bad intelligent battery sensor, which I think if I plug it back in right now, it'll probably do it for you guys. But in this case here, it's these little wires right here. These go down to the battery cable for an intelligent battery sensor, which I don't know. Maybe we'll do something as far as video goes, as to explain what these things are and how they work. Let me just plug that back in and see if it comes back. Yep, it did. See those voltages? 9.7, 9.8. Okay, they should not be there right now. They should not be active. They should not be awake. They should be asleep, and that intelligent battery sensor right now is going to keep those terminal 30s on for quite some time. And what do you have when you have a terminal 30 on? Well, you basically have, remember the key's out of the ignition. I can show you this first. Let me go back out, and if we go into our DME, well, it acts just like as if the key was on. So essentially that 30 is like having the key on. Now, not only does it respond that way, but this thing will have about a 7 amp draw right now. And if I pop that open, I think it's a 7 amp draw. Yeah, 100 millivolts equals 1 amp. So we're at about 7.8 amp draw, give or take. And mind you, I haven't started this car yet in quite some time. So, thermal imager. Pardon me. Trying to get over this cold. Okay, let's let it do its little calibration thing, and if we come out here already, we can look at. There's our mass air sensor, and it has a heating terminal inside there to keep that element warm, right? And that's how the mass airflow sensor works. So that's one. The other is the DISA. That's going to be our intake valve right there. And then we have down here, that's going to be, what do we have down there? Our coolant pump. Yeah, our coolant pump. So, got a couple things there that stay on, just like the key is on, almost like it's getting ready to start. And all of that is because we have a bad intelligent battery sensor that's turning those terminals on by putting that small voltage on there. It's keeping the CAS awake. If the CAS stays awake, he turns on the terminal 30s because he said, oh, okay, we're ready to sit there and turn the ignition on now. And mind you, see all these terminal 15s up here. And when we turn the ignition on, and I'll do that for you again. If I stop putting the key in the wrong pocket. If I sit there and I move the terminal forward like this with the ignition, you'll see all of them come on. Notice that that voltage also kicks up there on the intelligent battery sensor, right? Because we're actually taking, the CAS is going to be sending out a small voltage to it, and then the intelligent battery sensor apparently will change it pretty sure that's how it works. Of course, I'd have to read that as well. But let's get back down here again. And if I go in here for energy diagnosis, I'm pretty sure there's a good description of it in here that I can show you. I think it's on waking up the vehicle. Energy diagnosis, waking up the vehicle. And things that will come in here and turn on. The possible wake-up causes for an authorized wake-up. Mind you, it says authorized wake-up. Activating start-stop button. We don't have that. Eject remote control ID transmitter from the insertion slot. Actually, I should bring that to your attention. Don't get fooled at all. And I'm happy that Autologic does it this way. But if I go into, let's see, here's our input list. Our input list is here. Right now it's going to say the bonnet switch is open, obviously because I have the hood open. But when the hood was closed, it does say closed. Your hotel setting, no idea what the heck that is. The passenger side compartment, and stop ringing. Sorry. So brake light switch inputs, all these inputs that are here, everything was be no, 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 and off. So that's what we're looking at. So wake up line of the TCU, the telematics service, the telematics module on this one is there. It does have one, but it does not stay awake. So even when everything else is off on there, it's not staying awake on there. Pretty much everything that's on this little list right here. What it doesn't mention there is the intelligent battery sensor. So take note of that. And it was something that, that's where experience kind of came into play. If I went into terminal control and I looked at the overall diagram, here's our intelligent battery sensor here as an input. If he stays awake on here, he's going to be another wake-up signal into the DME, into the CAS. Everybody here is going to be on that line and saying, hey, okay, so we're still awake. Let's see, they call it a micro power module. There's our intelligent battery sensor. There are the switched on terminals. Terminal 15 is controlled by the CAS depending on the directly upon the position of the ignition key. That's the terminal 15. Notice it's saying 15 and not our wake up 15. See if it mentions the wake up signals in here, and it does not. Doesn't even mention our wake up signals. So if we come back out, oops, I went a little bit too far there, and we want to go function description for the intelligent battery sensor. IBS is mechatronic intelligent battery sensor with its own microcontroller. The microcontroller is an element of the continuously measures for following values on a battery: terminal voltage, charge current, discharge current, battery temperature. That's great, but it has to be with the key on, not with the key off. Let's see if they say anything good here. Just gives us a histogram, lets us see our energy diagnosis, our startability limit, and our overall battery condition, which in this case here the battery is low, but we did have it on earlier. Excuse me again. Notice, register battery replacement. After installing a new battery, I know somebody was asking that question the other day, the battery replacement has to be registered to tell the power management system that the new battery has been installed to the vehicle. If the battery replacement is not registered, the power management function will not function properly. Man, I can't read this through the viewfinder. Anyhow, it's all right there in front of you. So, if we look in here, again, we have our inputs. I'm going to go back there. Oh, I'm sorry, terminals. And I'm going to go back there again, unplug that IBS so we can kill that draw. And what it'll take is about 20 minutes after you disconnect it. Seems to be the number on this car. It took about 20 minutes after I removed our intelligent battery sensor, for these numbers here, the 30s, to drop out. And at that point there, you have no communication to CAS with the key out of the ignition. You have no communication with the DME either. So I think that's pretty much all I'm going to get into on this one. But, you know, European cars, without a doubt, you know, there are differences. You know, that's just they just work differently. So there you are. With it removed, we still have 0.13 volts on there, which I think is okay. I think that's just a circuit monitoring, because that CAS is still awake right now, because we're in it. And like I said, in about 20 minutes from now, if I was to come back on here again, and we went in here and we tried to get into any one of these modules, DME or CAS, we would have nothing. All of this would drop out. Matter of fact, you'll actually hear the chime inside here, almost like as if you had just removed the key from the ignition, which probably is not going to happen while we're waiting. But anyhow, that's all. Just wanted to bring this to your attention.